The year is 2025, a world hanging by a thread. Governments are crumbling. Economies teeter on the brink of collapse. And once powerful nations are grappling with unrest like never before. In Europe, France is engulfed in relentless protests and political chaos. Across Asia, escalating tensions threaten fragile alliances. While whispers of health crises among world leaders, especially a prominent figure in the US, leave humanity grasping for clarity. Meanwhile, natural disasters ravage the planet. And technological advancements raise as many fears as they do hopes. Amid this storm of uncertainty, a voice from the past rises to the surface, a prophetic warning from none other than Padre Pio. One of the most mysterious and revered spiritual figures of modern times. Imagine a world where divine messages hold the key to survival in our darkest days. Padre Pio, known for his miraculous life and spiritual insights, left behind prophecies that seem to echo louder than ever as we face the trials of 2025. His vision spoke of upheaval, chastisement, and hope, a combination that feels eerily aligned with today's reality. But what exactly did he foresee? And could his words provide the guidance humanity so desperately seeks? Stay with me as we unravel the mysteries of Padre Pio's prophecies, exploring their meaning and relevance in a time when the world feels more fractured than ever. If you're intrigued by this journey into spiritual insight and global events, be sure to like, share, and subscribe. You won't want to miss what comes next. Padre Pio, born Francesco Forgione on May 25, 1887, in the small Italian town of Pietrelcina, was a man whose life was marked by extraordinary events and spiritual mysteries. Even as a child, he demonstrated a deep connection to faith, often experiencing visions of Jesus and Mary. This unwavering devotion led him to join the Capuchin friars at the age of 15, where he adopted the name Pio in honor of Pope Pius I. Over time, Padre Pio became known not just as a priest but as a mystic, a man whose life seemed intertwined with the divine in ways that defied logic and explanation. But who exactly was Padre Pio? To many, he was more than a priest, he was a spiritual guide, a miracle worker, and a living testament to the power of faith. Padre Pio's journey into the spiritual spotlight began in 1918 when he experienced the stigmata, wounds resembling those of Christ's crucifixion. These marks on his hands, feet, and side became both a source of reverence and controversy, while countless believers viewed them as signs of divine favor. Skeptics accused him of self-infliction or fraud. Despite the scrutiny, the wounds remained visible and unexplainable for over 50 years, disappearing only days before his death. What set Padre Pio apart wasn't just the stigmata but the countless miracles attributed to him. Pilgrims from all over the world flocked to see him, seeking healing, guidance, and hope. Testimonies poured in from people claiming miraculous cures, mysterious bilocations, and instances of Padre Pio knowing intimate details about their lives without prior contact. One of his most famous abilities was his gift of reading souls. He could sense the sins and struggles of those who came to him for confession, offering them personalized spiritual advice that often left them in awe. Yet, his life wasn't without suffering. Padre Pio endured intense physical pain from his wounds and faced relentless scrutiny from both the church and medical authorities. In the 1920s, the Vatican launched investigations into his stigmata, temporarily restricting him from performing public masses or hearing confessions. Despite these trials, Padre Pio remained steadfast in his faith, accepting his suffering as a way to unite with Christ's passion. At the heart of Padre Pio's life was a message of love, sacrifice, and unwavering trust in God. He dedicated himself to prayer, fasting, and acts of charity. In 1956, he established the Casa Sollievo della Sofferenza, House for the Relief of Suffering, a hospital that continues to provide care for the sick and suffering to this day. For Padre Pio, the hospital was more than a medical facility, it was a symbol of faith in action, a tangible manifestation of God's love and mercy. While his life was filled with mystery and miracles, perhaps his most enduring legacy lies in his humility and deep devotion to prayer. Padre Pio often reminded his followers, "Pray, hope, and don't worry." This simple yet profound message resonated with millions, offering solace in times of despair and uncertainty. Declared a saint by Pope John Paul II in 2002. Padre Pio's influence continues to inspire people across the globe. But his story doesn't end with his life. Many believe that his prophecies, visions, and messages hold relevance for the challenges we face today. As the world stands at a crossroads, Padre Pio's insights may serve as a guiding light, urging humanity to turn toward faith, humility, and hope in the midst of chaos. In the next section, we'll delve deeper into Padre Pio's prophecies and explore how his visions of the future may provide answers to the questions haunting our modern world. Stay with us as we uncover the spiritual wisdom of this extraordinary man and its connection to the events of 2025. Among Padre Pio's many spiritual gifts, his prophecies stand as some of the most mysterious and debated aspects of his life. Known for his deep connection to the divine, Padre Pio received numerous visions and messages from what he described as heavenly sources. One of the most chilling and enigmatic of these prophecies is what many refer to as the prophecy of darkness. This forewarning speaks of a time when humanity would face trials so immense that the very fabric of society would seem to unravel. The prophecy, as attributed to Padre Pio, revolves around 3 days of darkness, a period of unparalleled chaos, suffering, and divine judgment. According to various accounts, Padre Pio described a time when the world would be plunged into physical and spiritual darkness. During this period, the sun would not shine, and the earth would be enveloped in a suffocating silence, broken only by cries of despair from those unprepared to face such a reckoning. Padre Pio allegedly warned that this time of darkness would come as a divine punishment for humanity's sins. He spoke of widespread moral decay, loss of faith, and humanity's increasing arrogance in defying divine law. In his visions, he reportedly saw catastrophic natural disasters, earthquakes, fires, and floods that would leave entire cities in ruins. He also foresaw a period of global turmoil, with nations rising against one another in wars fueled by greed, pride, and hatred. One of the most unsettling aspects of this prophecy is the idea that the darkness would not only be physical but also spiritual. Padre Pio warned that during these 3 days, demonic forces would be unleashed upon the earth, tempting and tormenting those who lacked faith. He described horrifying scenes of people succumbing to despair, their souls lost in the chaos because they failed to turn to God for guidance and protection. But Padre Pio's prophecy was not just a message of doom, it was also a call to repentance, faith, and preparation. He urged humanity to return to a life of prayer and devotion, emphasizing the need for spiritual vigilance in the face of such trials. In one of his letters, he wrote, "Keep your windows well covered. Do not look out. Light a blessed candle, which will be your only source of illumination during these days of darkness. Pray ceaselessly. Trust in God, for His mercy is boundless for those who seek it." The reference to the blessed candle is particularly significant. Padre Pio explained that only candles blessed by a priest would provide light during the 3 days of darkness. He warned that other sources of light, electricity, lamps, or unblessed candles, would fail. This emphasis on spiritual preparedness symbolizes a deeper truth: only those who live in faith and obedience to God's will can withstand the coming trials. For believers, Padre Pio's prophecy serves as both a warning and a guide. It underscores the importance of living a life rooted in prayer, humility, and service to others. It reminds us that in moments of despair, faith can serve as a beacon of hope, lighting the way through even the darkest of times. Skeptics, however, question the authenticity of the prophecy. There is ongoing debate about whether Padre Pio himself ever made such statements or if these warnings were later attributed to him by others. Critics argue that the prophecy may be a product of apocalyptic imagination, blending elements of Catholic mysticism with traditional end-times narratives. Despite these doubts, the prophecy continues to capture the attention of millions, resonating deeply with those who see parallels between Padre Pio's warnings and the state of the modern world. As we stand on the threshold of 2025, it's difficult to ignore the similarities between Padre Pio's prophecy and the challenges humanity currently faces: political instability, moral confusion, environmental catastrophes, and the rise of technology as a replacement for spirituality all point to a world increasingly at odds with itself. For many, these signs are a wake-up call, urging humanity to reflect on its path and seek a deeper connection to the divine. But the prophecy also offers hope. Padre Pio emphasized that even amidst the darkness, God's mercy is infinite for those who seek it. He encouraged his followers to use the tools of faith, prayer, confession, and the sacraments as shields against the trials to come. He reminded them that no matter how bleak the world may seem, divine light will always prevail over darkness for those who remain steadfast in their trust in God. For those who heed Padre Pio's warnings, the 3 days of darkness serve as a metaphorical reminder of the importance of spiritual readiness. They highlight the fragility of human existence and the need to cultivate a life centered on love, compassion, and faith. Whether one interprets the prophecy literally or symbolically, its message is clear: humanity must take responsibility for its actions, turn away from sin, and seek reconciliation with the divine before it's too late. As we delve deeper into Padre Pio's visions, we'll explore how his prophecies connect to the events unfolding in our modern world. Are we already witnessing the signs of his forewarnings? And if so, what can we do to prepare for the trials ahead? Join us in the next section as we examine the relevance of Padre Pio's message in today's global landscape, and uncover what lessons this extraordinary man offers for the challenges of our time. As we stand at the precipice of 2025, the world feels as though it is teetering on the edge of an unprecedented era. In many ways, the challenges humanity faces today mirror the warnings and themes of Padre Pio's prophecies. But what does this mean for us now? What insights can we draw from his visions to better understand and navigate the uncertain road ahead? Global turmoil and social fragmentation. The prophecy of Padre Pio spoke of a time when nations would rise against one another, morality would decay, and humanity's greed and pride would spark global conflict. Fast forward to the present day, and we see a world deeply divided. Political instability runs rampant, with governments facing protests, uprisings, and internal collapse. France, for example, has been marked by civil unrest, while much of Asia is grappling with economic crises and territorial disputes that threaten to boil over into full-scale war. In the United States, political polarization has reached a fever pitch, making compromise nearly impossible and fueling mistrust among the population. Conspiracies surrounding the health and competency of world leaders only add to the uncertainty. Meanwhile, technological advancements, once seen as the saviors of humanity, have become sources of division. Social media algorithms amplify outrage, while artificial intelligence stirs fears of job displacement and a loss of human control over decision-making. These issues align disturbingly well with Padre Pio's warnings of humanity losing its way. The moral compass of societies has shifted dramatically, with traditional values often cast aside in favor of fleeting pleasures, power struggles, and material pursuits. This erosion of spiritual principles creates fertile ground for the kind of darkness Padre Pio envisioned, both metaphorical and literal. Environmental collapse and natural disasters. One of the most striking elements of Padre Pio's prophecy was his description of catastrophic natural disasters, earthquakes, floods, and fires that would devastate the earth. In recent years, the frequency and intensity of such events have only increased, seemingly confirming these warnings. In 2025, climate change remains one of the most pressing global crises. Rising sea levels threaten to displace millions, while extreme weather events wreak havoc on communities worldwide. Wildfires burn with unprecedented ferocity. Hurricanes become more destructive, and droughts spark water shortages in regions that were once lush and fertile. The prophecy's call to repentance and respect for divine creation resonates strongly in this context. Many see these natural disasters not as isolated incidents but as consequences of humanity's failure to act as stewards of the earth. Greed, negligence, and exploitation have led to environmental destruction, and the results are becoming impossible to ignore. Padre Pio's warnings serve as a reminder that humanity's choices have far-reaching consequences, and that a return to humility and reverence for the natural world may be the only path forward. Spiritual crisis and the loss of faith. Perhaps the most profound aspect of Padre Pio's prophecy is its focus on spiritual darkness. In 2025, this crisis is more apparent than ever. Churches that once bustled with life now stand empty, their pews gathering dust as people increasingly turn away from organized religion. Secularism and materialism dominate modern culture, leaving little room for faith or spirituality. At the same time, many are searching for deeper meaning in their lives, but they often look in the wrong places. The rise of New Age spirituality, self-help movements, and even cult-like ideologies reflects humanity's longing for connection and purpose. However, these paths often lack the grounding principles of compassion, humility, and devotion that Padre Pio so strongly emphasized. This spiritual void creates an opening for the metaphorical darkness Padre Pio warned about. Without a foundation in faith, people are more vulnerable to despair, fear, and manipulation. The rise in mental health issues, substance abuse, and feelings of isolation further underscores this spiritual crisis. Padre Pio's message is clear: humanity must rediscover its connection to the divine to withstand the challenges of this era. The role of technology in the modern world. Padre Pio's prophecy did not explicitly mention technology, but his warnings about humanity's arrogance and misplaced priorities feel eerily relevant in the age of artificial intelligence, social media, and mass surveillance. In 2025, technology plays an outsized role in every aspect of life, from the way we communicate to the way we make decisions. While technology has brought incredible advancements, it has also created new ethical dilemmas and dangers. Social media platforms, for example, were designed to connect people but have instead fueled division, misinformation, and addiction. Similarly, advancements in artificial intelligence raise questions about the role of humanity in a world increasingly dominated by machines. Are we losing touch with what makes us human? Padre Pio's emphasis on humility and reliance on God stands in stark contrast to modern society's reliance on technology. His warnings remind us that no technological innovation can replace the need for moral and spiritual guidance. Hope amid the darkness. While Padre Pio's prophecy paints a grim picture, it is not without hope. His message of repentance and prayer offers a path forward, even in the face of overwhelming challenges. He emphasized that God's mercy is infinite for those who seek it, and his instructions for preparing for the darkness, prayer, confession, and acts of charity, are as relevant today as they were during his lifetime. In 2025, these lessons take on new urgency. Humanity has the tools to address many of the crises it faces, but it must first confront its spiritual and moral shortcomings. By embracing humility, compassion, and faith, individuals and communities can find the strength to overcome even the darkest of times. Moreover, Padre Pio's prophecy encourages us to look beyond the chaos and see the trials of our time as opportunities for growth and transformation. The challenges of 2025 may seem insurmountable, but they also hold the potential for humanity to rediscover its shared purpose and connection to the divine. A call to action. As we move deeper into 2025, the lessons of Padre Pio's prophecy become increasingly relevant. His warnings serve not as a prediction of inevitable doom but as a call to action, a reminder that humanity has the power to shape its destiny. Whether through prayer, environmental stewardship, or acts of kindness, each of us has a role to play in bringing light to the darkness. The question is, will we heed the call? Will we take the lessons of Padre Pio's life and prophecy to heart? Or will we continue down a path of arrogance, division, and destruction? The choice is ours, and the time to act is now. As we reflect on Padre Pio's vision and the state of the modern world, let us remember that even in the darkest times, faith, hope, and love have the power to guide us toward a brighter future. In the next section, we'll explore practical steps we can take to apply Padre Pio's teachings in our daily lives and prepare for whatever the future may hold. As we delve deeper into Padre Pio's prophecies and the challenges of the modern world, it becomes increasingly clear that his teachings are not just warnings for humanity, they are guideposts for personal transformation. While global crises often feel overwhelming, Padre Pio's wisdom reminds us that change begins within each of us. By embracing his lessons and applying them in our daily lives, we can become catalysts for light in a world that seems consumed by darkness. The importance of prayer and inner stillness. Padre Pio often spoke about the transformative power of prayer. For him, prayer was not merely a recitation of words but a profound connection to God, a lifeline in times of uncertainty. In today's chaotic and fast-paced world, his emphasis on prayer feels more relevant than ever. Modern life is filled with distractions. From constant notifications on our phones to the 24/7 news cycle, it's easy to lose sight of what truly matters. Padre Pio's call to prayer is an invitation to pause, reflect, and reconnect with the divine. Whether through traditional prayers, meditation, or moments of silent contemplation, creating space for spiritual reflection can help us find clarity and peace amidst the noise. In 2025, this practice is not just a spiritual necessity, it's a survival tool. The more we ground ourselves in prayer and inner stillness, the better equipped we are to face the challenges of an uncertain world. As Padre Pio himself once said, "Pray, hope, and don't worry. Worry is useless. God is merciful and will hear your prayer." Rediscovering compassion in a divided world. One of the most striking aspects of Padre Pio's life was his deep compassion for others. Despite the immense suffering he endured, both physical and spiritual, he remained a source of comfort and guidance for countless people. His example challenges us to extend kindness and empathy to those around us, even when it feels difficult. In 2025, the world feels more divided than ever. Political polarization, cultural conflicts, and economic disparities have created deep fractures in society. It's easy to fall into the trap of seeing others as adversaries, especially when their beliefs or actions differ from our own. But Padre Pio's teachings remind us that compassion is a powerful force for healing. Compassion begins with small, everyday actions, listening without judgment, offering a helping hand, or simply treating others with respect. By choosing empathy over division, we not only honor Padre Pio's legacy but also contribute to a more unified and loving world. Embracing humility in the face of adversity. Padre Pio's life was a testament to the virtue of humility. Despite his extraordinary spiritual gifts, he never sought recognition or glory. Instead, he dedicated himself entirely to serving God and others, often in quiet, unseen ways. In the modern era, humility is a quality that often feels undervalued. Social media encourages us to showcase our achievements, compare ourselves to others, and seek validation through likes and comments. This constant focus on outward appearances can lead to pride, envy, and a sense of emptiness. Padre Pio's example challenges us to shift our perspective. True humility is not about thinking less of ourselves but about recognizing our dependence on God and our interconnectedness with others. It's about serving without seeking reward and acknowledging that our worth is not determined by worldly success. As we navigate the uncertainties of 2025, humility can be a source of strength. It allows us to approach challenges with an open heart, learn from our mistakes, and find joy in serving others. Rebuilding our connection to the natural world. Another lesson we can draw from Padre Pio's teachings is the importance of respecting and preserving the natural world. While he may not have explicitly addressed environmental issues, his deep reverence for God's creation is evident in his writings and actions. In 2025, environmental degradation is one of humanity's most pressing challenges. From deforestation to climate change, our planet is suffering the consequences of centuries of neglect and exploitation. Padre Pio's call to repentance can be interpreted as a call to action, to take responsibility for our impact on the earth and make choices that honor its sacredness. This can take many forms, from adopting sustainable practices in our daily lives to advocating for policies that protect the environment. By viewing the natural world as a gift from God rather than a resource to be exploited, we can begin to heal the damage we've caused and create a more sustainable future. Finding hope in times of darkness. Perhaps the most powerful lesson from Padre Pio's prophecies is his unwavering belief in hope. Even as he warned of trials and suffering, he emphasized that God's mercy and love are infinite. This message is especially important in 2025. A time when many feel overwhelmed by fear, uncertainty, and despair. Hope is not about denying the difficulties we face, it's about choosing to believe that light can emerge from even the darkest situations. It's about finding strength in faith, resilience in community, and purpose in the act of helping others. Padre Pio's life demonstrates that hope is both a gift and a responsibility. It's something we cultivate through prayer, acts of kindness, and a commitment to living in alignment with our values. By embracing hope, we can inspire others to do the same, creating ripples of positivity that extend far beyond ourselves. A personal call to action. As we reflect on Padre Pio's teachings, it's natural to wonder, what can I do to make a difference? While the challenges of 2025 may feel overwhelming, Padre Pio's life reminds us that even small actions can have a profound impact. Start by looking inward. Are there areas of your life where you've lost sight of your spiritual values? Are there relationships that need healing? Or habits that need to change? Use this time as an opportunity for self-reflection and growth. Then, turn your focus outward. How can you serve others in your community? Whether it's volunteering, offering a listening ear, or simply being a source of encouragement, your actions can bring light to those around you. Finally, don't underestimate the power of prayer. As Padre Pio often said, prayer is the key to unlocking God's grace and guidance. Make it a daily practice. And trust that even in the midst of chaos, God is working for good. Conclusion: carrying Padre Pio's legacy forward. Padre Pio's prophecies and teachings are not just relics of the past, they are living reminders of the spiritual truths that guide us through every generation. As we navigate the complexities of 2025, his wisdom offers a beacon of light, urging us to choose faith over fear, compassion over division, and hope over despair. Each of us has the power to carry his legacy forward. Not through grand gestures, but through the simple, everyday acts of love and faith that transform the world around us. As Padre Pio himself said, "The life of a Christian is nothing but a perpetual struggle against self. There is no flowering of the soul to the beauty of its perfection except at the price of pain." In the face of life's struggles, let us find strength in his words and courage in his example. For even in the darkest times, the light of faith can lead us home. As Padre Pio's prophecies echo through time, they carry a clear and urgent message: prepare. This preparation is not only about survival during dark times but about transforming ourselves, body and soul, to meet the trials ahead with faith, resilience, and courage. The call to prepare, both physically and spiritually, is a profound reminder that we are participants in a larger divine plan. But how do we answer this call in the context of the challenges facing humanity in 2025? Physical preparation, taking responsibility for the body. While Padre Pio's teachings were deeply rooted in spiritual matters, his life underscores the importance of stewarding our physical existence. In a world fraught with natural disasters, economic instability, and societal breakdowns, physical preparation takes on new urgency. 1. Self-sufficiency and resourcefulness. Padre Pio's prophecies often pointed to times of famine, hardship, and scarcity. In our modern world, this could manifest as supply chain disruptions, food shortages, or financial crises. Preparing physically means cultivating resourcefulness and reducing dependence on systems that may fail. Food security: start building a small emergency pantry with essential non-perishable items like rice, beans, canned goods, and clean water. If possible, grow your own food, even in a small garden or balcony space. Learning basic agricultural skills could make a difference in difficult times. Financial preparedness: strengthen your financial resilience by saving where you can, reducing debt, and investing in practical resources like tools, first aid kits, or alternative energy solutions. 2. Health and physical resilience. Padre Pio's unwavering endurance through physical suffering reminds us of the importance of strengthening our own bodies to face trials. Focus on maintaining physical health through exercise, proper nutrition, and adequate rest. These habits not only prepare you for external challenges but also fortify your mental and emotional resilience. Learn basic first aid and emergency skills to care for yourself and others in times of crisis. 3. Building strong communities. Preparing physically is not just an individual task, it is deeply communal. forming strong bonds with family, neighbors, and local communities can create networks of support and shared resources. Padre Pio's compassion teaches us that helping one another is a sacred act, especially in times of hardship. Spiritual preparation, fortifying the soul. Physical preparation alone is not enough to endure the trials foretold by Padre Pio. The heart of his message is spiritual preparation, which is key to facing both personal and global crises with peace and hope. 1. The role of prayer and sacraments. For Padre Pio, the sacraments were lifelines to God's grace. His daily life revolved around prayer, confession, and the Eucharist. In times of turmoil, these practices can anchor us in God's love and mercy. Daily prayer, make prayer a central part of your day. Whether it's reciting the rosary, meditating on scripture, or offering simple words of thanks and petition. Confession and reconciliation, regular confession cleanses the soul and strengthens your connection to God. It's a reminder that even in our imperfections, we are deeply loved and forgiven. The Eucharist, if possible. Attend Mass frequently to receive the spiritual nourishment of the Eucharist. Padre Pio called it the source and summit of spiritual life. 2. Spiritual warfare, resisting temptation. Padre Pio often spoke of the spiritual battles that occur within and around us. He faced direct confrontations with evil and reminded us that our struggles are part of a larger cosmic battle. Strengthen your spiritual defenses by rejecting sin and turning to God's grace. Practice humility, patience, and love, even when tempted to despair or anger. Engage in acts of charity and service, which not only help others but also purify the soul and align us with God's will. 3. The virtue of trust. One of Padre Pio's most famous teachings is encapsulated in the phrase, pray, hope, and don't worry. This is not a call to complacency but an invitation to radical trust in God's providence. In 2025, when uncertainty looms large, placing our trust in God can bring unparalleled peace. Reflect on the ways God has guided you through past difficulties. Let these memories strengthen your faith in His continued presence and care. Remember that spiritual preparation is not about achieving perfection but about surrendering to God's will, even in the face of fear or doubt. Balancing the physical and the spiritual. Padre Pio's prophecies teach us that preparation must be holistic. It's not enough to stockpile resources or say prayers without taking meaningful action. True preparation involves harmonizing the physical and the spiritual, recognizing that the two are deeply interconnected. For example, preparing physically by ensuring your family has food and shelter is an act of love and stewardship, which aligns with spiritual values. Praying for strength and guidance can inspire practical actions that benefit both you and your community. Embracing spiritual practices like fasting not only fortifies the soul but also fosters discipline and detachment from materialism. Lessons for families. Padre Pio's teachings are particularly relevant for families. He often encouraged parents to instill faith in their children, reminding them that the home is the first church. Make family prayer a daily ritual, even if it's just a simple blessing before meals or bedtime prayers. Teach children the values of compassion, resilience, and trust in God. By modeling these virtues, you equip them to navigate life's challenges with faith and courage. Embracing hope amidst uncertainty. The call to prepare, physically and spiritually, may feel daunting, but it is ultimately a call to hope. Padre Pio's life and prophecies remind us that darkness is never the end of the story. Even in the face of trials, we are invited to trust in God's infinite mercy and to act as beacons of light for those around us. As we look toward the uncertainties of 2025, let us take Padre Pio's message to heart. By preparing our bodies and souls, we not only safeguard ourselves but also become instruments of God's love and grace in a troubled world. This preparation is not about fear, it's about faith. It's about acknowledging the challenges ahead while holding fast to the promise that God is with us, guiding us, and leading us toward a brighter, more hopeful future. As we reflect on the life, teachings, and prophecies of Padre Pio, one message shines above all others: hope. Even in the midst of chaos, when the world seems to spiral into uncertainty, there is a greater plan at work, a divine hand guiding humanity through its darkest hours. The turbulence of 2025 may test us in unimaginable ways. But it is precisely in these moments of trial that the light of hope becomes most visible. Padre Pio's life was no stranger to suffering. He bore the stigmata for over 50 years, endured relentless physical pain, and faced attacks both spiritual and earthly. Yet through all of this, he remained unwavering in his trust in God's providence. He taught us that suffering, though difficult, is not meaningless. It can be a pathway to redemption, growth, and profound spiritual transformation. Hope through faith. One of Padre Pio's most famous exhortations, "Pray, hope, and don't worry," encapsulates a timeless truth: faith in God is the antidote to fear. In today's world, where headlines scream of political unrest, climate crises, and economic uncertainty, it is easy to fall into despair. But hope is not born of perfect circumstances, it is born of faith in a higher power that transcends human frailty. Prayer as a source of strength. Padre Pio often emphasized the power of prayer to bring peace, clarity, and courage. Prayer is not just a ritual, it is a lifeline to God, a way to surrender our burdens and fears. In uncertain times, let us turn to prayer not as a last resort but as our first response. Finding grace in the present, hope does not depend on the future alone, it is rooted in recognizing God's presence in the here and now. Padre Pio's life reminds us to look for grace in the everyday moments: a kind word, a small victory, or even the strength to endure another day. Hope through action. While faith is the foundation of hope, it must also inspire action. Padre Pio was not content to simply pray for the suffering, he actively ministered to the sick, the poor, and the broken-hearted. His message to prepare, both physically and spiritually, reminds us that hope is most powerful when paired with responsibility. Helping others, in times of chaos. Hope is contagious. By extending a helping hand to those in need, whether it's sharing resources, offering words of encouragement, or simply being present, we can be a source of light in the darkness. Facing challenges with resilience. Padre Pio's perseverance in the face of suffering teaches us the importance of resilience. Hope does not mean the absence of difficulty, it means finding the strength to rise each time we fall. The promise of renewal. History has shown us that humanity often emerges stronger after periods of great upheaval. Wars, pandemics, and economic crises have reshaped the world. But they have also brought about moments of profound renewal. Padre Pio's prophecies remind us that darkness is not eternal, it is a precursor to light. The trials of 2025, whatever they may be, hold the potential to awaken humanity to deeper truths. They challenge us to reevaluate our priorities, strengthen our faith, and reconnect with one another. If we heed Padre Pio's call to prepare, we can face these challenges with confidence, knowing that even in the darkest moments, God's plan is unfolding. A personal call. Padre Pio's life and teachings are a deeply personal call to each of us. He invites us to look inward, to strengthen our relationship with God, and to take responsibility for the world around us. His message is not one of fear but of empowerment, reminding us that we have the tools to endure, to thrive, and to help others do the same. Trust in God's timing, Padre Pio often said. God does not delay his promises. Even when we cannot see the path forward, we must trust that God is working behind the scenes. Embrace faith over fear. Fear is a natural response to uncertainty, but it does not have to control us. By turning to God in faith, we can find the peace and strength to face whatever lies ahead. The legacy of hope. As we conclude this journey through Padre Pio's prophecies and their relevance to our modern world, let us carry forward his legacy of hope. The challenges of 2025 may seem overwhelming, but we are not alone. Padre Pio's life reminds us that God's grace is sufficient, that our prayers are heard, and that even the smallest acts of love can have a profound impact. Hope amid chaos is not a naive dream, it is a powerful reality grounded in faith, action, and trust. It is a choice we make every day, to see beyond the darkness and believe in the promise of light. And as we prepare for the trials ahead, let us do so with hearts full of hope, knowing that with God by our side, we can face anything the future holds.